Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bad Luck Gamer, and we're back with why this archetype is awesome. Goodness, I missed one session, and then it's just all out the window. And if you haven't noticed, last week on the channel, I did not produce 2 videos. I only produced 1 because I ended up going to PaizoCon. And you can see some of the secrets I picked up there in the prior video I made, Secrets of PaizoCon. But now we're back and we're getting back into the swing of things, and today is going to be a really great day. Though I do want to say some fun things are coming up on the channel, so please keep an eye out. We are going to possibly have some guests appear on Table Talk, as well as soon as I get the logistics figured out, we're going to be doing giveaways on the channel, as I got so much swag. I've kind of mentioned this in some prior videos before, so keep an eye out, and the best ways to do that is just to either subscribe so you see whenever my videos do come up, and or just like the video to help the algorithm to get me out there more, so you're more likely to see me out there. And the least you could do is at least drop a like if the video was at all helpful to you. And as well, if you don't want to miss anything, go to the description down below where my Discord link for our official Discord is, where you can game with me and my friends, or you can find my link to the Twitter, that thing, yeah. The link to Twitter, where I post a lot of the things are going on currently with the channel and everything that's going on. So we're all over the place, but let's get back focused on the topic of today's video, which is going to be the Assassin archetype dedication. Now, this archetype dedication, I feel, is a very interesting one. It might be a little bit controversial compared to the first edition's Prestige Assassin, but I think that this version is really good and it works really, really well. For instance, the Prestige edition, your character had to be of some evil alignments, but in this one, all you have to do is be trained in deception or stealth and crafting. So overall, a pretty solid one, but let's get into the dedication itself. Oh, and my bad, just checked it out. You have to be trained in crafting, stealth, and deception, which is a lot. Not many archetype dedications require so much, but you can pick the Assassin dedication at level 2, unlike a lot of the other more fleshed out archetype dedications, which some you can't get to level 6 or 8. But let's look at the initial dedication here. So the Assassin dedication gives you Mark for Death. You essentially, you mark a target, and this target is marked until it either dies or you select another target. You get a +2 circumstance bonus to perception checks to seek your mark, and on deception checks to feint against your mark. Your agile and finesse weapons and unarmed attacks gain the backstabber and deadly D6 weapon traits when you're attacking your mark. If the weapon or unarmed attack already has the deadly trait, increase the size of the deadly damage die by 1 step instead of giving it deadly D6. This is a really good initial archetype dedication. The best way to use it is you know your target at a time. I believe one of the requirements for this is that you have to see or hear your target. So you have to be in some kind of proximity, but that doesn't mean you have to do it right before combat or even in combat. In fact, this is more designed to be done outside of combat when you're investigating your mark. Whenever you get a chance to see them or, hear one of their speeches, you can activate this, and this is a great opportunity to do so. A +2 circumstance bonus to both perception and deception checks to, seek and feint your opponent respectively are really solid. It's really, really good. And overall, the fact that this gives your weapon not only backstabber but deadly is amazing. This is really good for a lot of ways. It can make a lot of weapons very interesting, and there's a lot of agile and finesse weapons out there that are not necessarily designed for the use with a rogue, and this can make them even better. I absolutely love Backstabber, but they actually have feats that increase Backstabber. We'll get to that here in a little bit, so let's continue. Speaking of Backstabber, I should have looked beforehand, but whatever. You get Expert Backstabber, I believe, right? Expert's what it's called? Yeah, Expert Backstabber, which is really good. So Backstabber, if you don't know, is whenever you strike a flat-footed enemy, you do additional precision damage. You either do 1 or 2 if it's a +3 weapon. This makes it double. So when you strike with a normal +1 or +2 striking weapon, this will make it 2 additional precision damage. And when you get a +3 weapon, this will be a +4. Essentially getting that much extra damage dice. It's really good. Backstabber is a super solid trait because whenever an enemy is flat-footed, obviously, you're going to be doing that a lot, especially with your bonus to feint against your marked target. You're just going to be dumping on damage. And this is something important to remember as well. The Assassin archetype dedication is a dedication focused on both combat and roleplay. There's a lot of good things, a lot of good combat feats, but it also motivates you to scout your targets out just by how the initial archetype dedication works. I absolutely love this dedication and the fact that when you're attacking your marked target, you get the deadly and backstabber on top. It's really, really good. And there's so much I want to talk about, but we'll get to that at the end. But let's continue on to the next feat. Poison resistance, as I just mentioned earlier, is kind of one of those more roleplay aesthetic kind of dedication feats. You get a resistance to poison, I think, equal to your half your level, and you get a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against poisons. Those are okay. For a feat, it's nice. It's got a really good aesthetic flair. You've been training with poisons your whole life. You've been subjected to them a lot to gain, somewhat of an immunity or at least a high resistance to them. I like the narrative aspects of this, but just keep in mind, poison's not a very common type of damage in the game. It's really cool when it comes up. It's just not going to come up that often. So I would pick this more for the narrative than I would for the actual bonuses, but the bonuses can be pretty good too. Surprise attack is pretty much the same as what the rogue gets, where if you use either deception or stealth for your initiative, which means you're either talking to someone and then suddenly striking out at them, or when you're currently sneaking, you don't even have to actually successfully be sneaking to use stealth as your initiative. You just have to be actively trying to be stealthy to use stealth as your initiative. Any enemies that haven't yet to act become flat-footed to you, which is perfect if you're attacking your marked target because obviously you get your backstabber and deadly d6 when you're attacking them, and backstabber does extra damage when the enemy is flat-footed. You just do more damage. It's really good. This all just builds together and it's super solid. Surprise attack is a very solid feat pick for the assassin in general. All right, next is poison weapon, which is an action that allows you to coat a weapon and prepare it to strike an enemy. Essentially, as a part of the action, you draw the poison and then use an interact to coat the weapon. This is a good action because normally that takes 2 actions to draw and then apply. This is just a 2-in-1. Good efficiency right there. I did leave it open here, so I'm sorry if my face is a little bleached out, because there is some weird wording in this one, so I'm just going to give you my general interpretation, and if anything, just my ruling on this. It does say, if your next attack with that weapon before the end of your next turn hits and deals damage, it applies the effects of the poison, provided that the poison can be delivered through contact or injury. If you critically fail the attack, the poison is wasted as normal. So, rules as written, this seems to imply that you only apply the poison if your next attack with that weapon hits and deals damage. But the whole critical fail thing, so normally when you apply a poison, if you critically fail, the poison gets, flung off or whatever, and you have to reapply a poison. And normally when you're using a poison weapon, if you miss, the poison isn't wasted. My interpretation of this section of the rules is that this poison lasts until the end of your next turn, is more or less what they're trying to go for. Before the end of your next turn, hits and deals damage. So I'm assuming it's the next attack that hits and deals damage, not before the end of your next turn hits and yeah. There needs to be that hits kind of clause in there. So if you're a little confused on that, that's how I would rule, and that only makes sense. The critical fail mention in there wouldn't need to be in there if you could just, waste the poison by missing anyway. So, that's just one of the things that I think with this. Another really good thing about the poison weapon feat is that during your daily preparations, you can prepare a number of simple injury poisons equal to your rogue level. Now, you don't have a rogue level, so there's 2 ways that this can be done in my, but by my own assumptions here. There's either one, it's the number of feats you pick into the assassin dedication, which would make sense to me, or your character's level. Your character's just considered a rogue for all intents and purposes. It doesn't mention here, but it does mention this specifically. I don't know. There might be a fact on it. I didn't quite check. My ruling is it would be equal to your character's level in a number of, and they're just D4 poisons. You have to use an action to apply it anyway to your weapon. So it's not really that big a deal if you ask me personally. But if it is a big deal to you, then you can just say it's just the number of feats you have in the assassin dedication. And I think that's perfectly viable because honestly, you're going to take a lot of them anyway. And these D4 poison damage kind of injury poisons are really, really good. And they apply with a later feat as well. But let's go ahead and continue on. Sneak attack. You get sneak attack. It's really good. Instead of a D6, though, it's a D4 until your character is at least 6th level. Then it upgrades to a D6. But unlike the rogue sneak attack, which normally goes up as they level up, you do not get more sneak attack dice. And typically, these sneak attack dice do not stack with other sneak attack dice. So if you're already a rogue, this one you don't need. But if you're any other class, this is a really solid one. And again, sneak attack, if you're unaware, deals additional precision damage if the enemy is flat-footed. And because this is a different type of damage, this is not a static damage like Backstabber, this is a die damage, they actually stack with Backstabber. So flat-footed enemies, you're going to be trying to get everyone flat-footed so you can strike and deal just a metric ton of damage with poison weapon. If you picked it up, you're just doing a lot of damage in a single hit. It's really good. I really like how the assassin is super geared up for that first strike in combat. It really can set the tone of the rest of the combat. But we got a few more feats to go. Angel of Death is a really interesting one. Now, this one's kind of a little bit more on the evil aligned side of things. This is if you don't want the dead to get back up or to spill your secrets. More or less what happens is all your attacks gain the death trait, and I believe it's only against your marked death. Yeah, any target you mark for death, all your strikes against that target gain the death trait, and when they go to 0 hit points, they instantly die, and they cannot be resurrected or spoken to, or any effects that essentially affect the undead, unless the counteract level is more than half of your level when you attacked when you killed the target rounded up, except for artifacts or by deities. Now, when by deities, it doesn't mean by divine spellcasting or like a cleric spell. No. This means direct intervention from a deity can, instantly counteract your effect. But clerics, you don't have to worry about, unless, of course, they have the ability to counteract higher than your, half your level when you attack the target. This is very purely story and narrative based. It might be important to the plot, and it could be very, very handy, but that's for you to decide when you pick this one up. This is very interesting, and not only that, but it says nothing about setting a counteract, level based on like your class DC or anything. No. When the person rolls, no matter their result, if the counteract effect, so let's say they're using like like a level 4 Talk to Dead kind of spell. I don't even know if it's level 4, but let's assume there's a level 4 Talk to Dead spell, and you were level 5 when you killed the target, if you were level 10 when you killed the target, no matter what they roll on the counteract, they will not be able to talk to this target unless they use another spell slot that's equal to or higher than that level. Then I'm assuming they just have to at least succeed or even fail on the check, I suppose. Yeah, because I believe when you counteract, even a failure, as long as it's the same level, still counteracts the effect. That's really cool. And again, super narrative based. It makes the assassin very, very interesting. And so, I like this one a lot for the narrative purposes of it. It sticks with the assassin nature and makes it harder for you to track down if you're killing maybe like a corrupt noble and they need to go, but you don't want anyone performing a ritual on them to bring them back to tell them what happens. This is actually pretty good. And again, not inherently evil, but I think more on the evil side. It depends on what you're doing with it. Try not to give your DM a headache. How about that? Improved poison weapon is really good. The simple poisons that you get from the initial poison weapon attack feat you do 2d4 damage rather than 1d4 damage. More damage is good. In fact, it's technically twice as much poison damage, so that's really solid. And if you critically miss a target with your poison weapon, it does not remove the effect. Again, this is kind of where some of the prior wording gets a little weird to me. Under my same rulings, everything still applies normally, except for that when you critically miss, now the poison is not wasted and you still have until the end of your next turn to finish the enemy, or to deliver the poison. So that's my assumption. This is, of course, all really weird wording. Check out a fact if you're very interested. That's just how I would run it, and I definitely don't see any problems with that. You have a turn to deliver a poison. I think that's pretty fair. I think that's pretty balanced. Assassinate, the coup de grace of the assassin archetype, and the top feat. It's actually not even that high of a level. It's a level 12 feat, so this is actually not bad. It's got a really good effect. So essentially what it is it's 2 actions. You strike your target and you deal 6d6 precision damage. Plus, they need to make a basic fortitude save, and if they crit fail that save, they die instantly. Now, there's some caveats. This is a strong ability, but there are some pretty strong caveats as well. The biggest of which is that you're unnoticed. How generally the notice hidden conditions kind of work is unnoticed means that the enemy is not even aware that you're currently attacking them. That's the big thing. Unnoticed is very hard condition to do and almost impossible to get back in combat. So this has to be your opening strike, or it has to be you're waiting for your opportunity. Maybe all your allies go in and you're waiting for that opportunity to kill the enemy. What's really good about this, though, is that even if the enemy is immune to the death trait, which some are, you still do precision damage on top of it, and 66 is not a small amount of precision damage. Though I do have to say that one of the things about it is that a lot of enemies are immune to death are also immune to precision damage, but not always. So at the very least, you're doing 66 if they fail the check, half of that if they succeed the check, and if they crit fail, they automatically die. It's a really, really good ability, and you get this at level 12. Yeah, you have to be unnoticed, but I mean, seriously, like, it's a really good opener, and some enemies might have really crappy fortitude saves. So this is really good for killing those spellcasters right at the beginning of combat, leaving your team with a lot less to worry about. So if you sneak up on the spellcaster and get them with this, they're probably going to be in a lot of trouble. And that's going to be the assassin for today. I absolutely love it. A lot of the feats have really strong narrative and roleplay ability, and a lot of them are also really good in combat. You attacking flat-footed enemies just generates a lot of extra damage. It's really solid. It's really, really, really good. So it's just, Assassin's a very good one. And not only that, but this can really work on any class. Now, obviously, martial classes benefit from this a little bit more than spellcasters would, considering all the feats are based on strikes anyway. But, if you're something like a Magus or maybe even like a War Priest, there's some interesting things. And again, asking yourself, why is a War Priest an assassin as well? There's some very interesting story potential. I absolutely love the assassin, and I would give this like an S tier rank as far as archetype dedications are concerned. It's got a good enough amount of combat, and it's got a good enough amount of narrative bonuses, and a little bit of exploration bonus to boot. It's just solid all around. But that's going to be it for the assassin. I hope you all liked it. Please let me know if I got everything right. Hey, in fact, if you find out the rules on like the poisoner weapon stuff, please let me know in the comments below exactly what it is. I'll pin your comment if I find that's all verified and true. And, we'll get everything sorted out for that. But that's going to be it from me. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.